Okay, guys, thank you so much. I would like to thank Disal for the opportunity of having me here today, speak to you guys. Also, I would like to thank BRAZ-TESOL for the opportunity of sharing a little bit of my experience with my fellow teachers. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about BRAZ-TESOL before I start talking about private teaching and etc. I am currently the president of BRAZ-TESOL Belo Horizonte Chapter, and BRAZ-TESOL is a community of English teachers that tries to bring about all of teachers together, trying to bring different events, trying to share knowledge through the events, both national and local events. And we also have chapters, which are regional segments of BRAZ-TESOL. As I told you, I am currently the president of BRAZ-TESOL Belo Horizonte. We also have the SIGs, special interest groups, and each group shares a little bit of their passion, just like bilingual education, mind and brain education, learning and management, pronunciation, well-being, coaching, public schools. You choose whatever you want to be part of, because there is an infinity of SIGs. It's very nice to be able to talk to like-minded teachers, share some knowledge, take part in events. So if you're not part of BRAZ-TESOL yet, I invite you to be part of our community. And also, I invite you to participate in the 17th BRAZ-TESOL International Conference, which this year is going to take place completely online. So I believe all of you lovely teachers who are here from north to south of Brazil will be able to take part. So you can click on the link on the top of the presentation. If you click on the red button, you will have access to the site, and you will see our list of plenary speakers. There will be lots of talks and workshops happening throughout these 4 days, and it's going to be a lovely event, lots of sharing, lots of learning, and I truly recommend that you become part of BRAZ-TESOL, so that you come to our community and learn more, sharing experiences, learning more. So just a second. Edmond Pino. Okay, hello. Nice to have you here. Okay, so, well, yes, Marisa. Marisa is asking, no minders for the online conference. I think you will have to confirm that with the BRAZ-TESOL secretary. I'm not sure. I think that they're calling for people to help, to give some help in the rooms. There will be several rooms with different talks. So there might be a space for minders, Marisa. I would recommend sending an email to the administration, trying to find out if there's still room for minders. It's also a very good experience, All right, so I would like to talk a little bit about myself before we start this presentation. For those who don't know me, I am Carolina Cunha. I've been a teacher for 20 years now, and for the past 3 years, I've been a freelance teacher. I work with personalized classes, one-to-one mostly, and for the past year and so, I've been 100% online, but fingers crossed, we'll be back soon to face-to-face classes because I really love it. Anyhow, when I started thinking about the possibility of going freelance, I always had butterflies in the stomach. I always thought about the desperation of not knowing the backstage of teaching, because I was pretty sure of the classroom. I knew what I was doing. I had enough years experience to teach the way I was teaching, to help my students accomplish whatever they were trying to accomplish in language. But I had butterflies in the stomach whenever I thought about the backstage, the administration of the business, and the different roles actually that I was about to take when I would finally become a freelance teacher, a one-to-one teacher above all. And well, I've been in this journey for 3 years now, and I decided to put together, firstly, a presentation, and then I came with an idea of a workshop to help teachers organize themselves and try to pave their way to more freedom and to become more sure of themselves whenever they decided to go freelance, like 100% freelance. Yeah. So this presentation is part of this workshop that I put together in order to help my colleagues to actually pave their way into freelance teaching. Yeah. So private teaching, when we think about private teaching, what comes to your mind? Would you mind sharing some of your ideas in the chat box, please? Whenever you think about private teaching, how do you see yourselves as a private teacher? If you have ever been a private student, what was your expectations? So independent, free to create. Students learn faster. Okay. Lesson planning, entrepreneur, small groups, personalized classes, bonding, creativity, responsibility, isolated, interesting, Silvio. Funny classes, okay. You motivate students, entrepreneur, focus on students' aims, without following orders, free schedule, freedom for traveling. Yes, especially in the low season, right? Yes. Able to develop interesting classes, focus, free time, risk taking, no boredom, okay. Too much time preparing materials, okay, interesting point of view, Patricia. Organized, feel more confident, autonomous, yes, autonomous job. All of this is true, yes. Teach the way you like, dynamic classes, no guarantees. Okay, Renata, no guarantees. Development, independence, managing psychological issues. Wow, yes. More time for children, no regular salary. Yeah, all of these things can be adjusted. Yeah, having to do with finance. Yes, all of those things can be adjusted, the good and the bad, because I saw the both sides here being discussed. For some people, having no guarantees is a thrill. For other people, it's just like the end of the world, you know? I would freak out whenever I thought about going 100% freelance, because I used to work for schools all my life, sometimes more than one school at the same time. It's very common for us teachers, right? So we have to juggle sometimes 2-3 schools. And I've worked for 2 schools at the same time once. It's hard to balance all that. And whenever I thought about going freelance, I said, okay, let's give it a test drive. So I would stay 50% of my time going freelance and the other 50% at the school. And then when I realized I was practically 100% freelance, and I said, okay, now it's my time to go, you know? So I paved my way, and I made sure I was ready. I made sure I could deal with the ups and downs. Of course, it takes a lot of preparation, psychological preparation. Some people saying, okay, I've been a freelance since 2002. Students feel too easy to skip classes. Okay, we can talk about that. So I finally realized that the good outweighed the bad. I was in a moment in my life, this is also very personal. Some people, they need to be in that place in order to make the decision. I was in a moment in my life in which I had become a mom, and juggling the school where I worked and motherhood and fulfillment in my career, all of these things became so crazy that I put myself in a place in which I had to find a solution. And I discovered a side of me that I didn't know existed, which was the entrepreneur side. And it was interesting because I didn't trust myself. Everybody around me said I could do it. Everyone around me said, I believe you. But for many years, I doubted myself because of the butterflies in the stomach when I finally decided to take the leap. Yeah. And when I decided, I started thinking about it. I started studying about it, doing courses, going after people who were already doing it for some time and having them share their experiences with me just to see if that was the right thing for me, if I could handle it. So private teaching, bottom line is, it's a combination of both the students and the teacher's expectations and ambitions. So we also have our expectations when we become a private teacher, right? Everybody talked about freedom, a different design of the schedule, different materials, preparing materials. All of this, for some teachers, sound like a dream. For other teachers, it could be a nightmare. They would rather have the book picked, the schedule already outlined, and that's okay. Some people work better like that, and that's no problem. So as long as you have these expectations fulfilled, you can start thinking about it. So it's a unique opportunity to develop a meaningful relationship with students, enabling the teacher to adapt methods and materials to meet the needs of the students, the learner. Yeah, so many times people, teachers, they feel like they could bond with their students better if they had smaller classes or if they were teaching one-to-one. So that's the moment when you think about changing a little bit the course of action, right? So I would like you to think back of your last experience of teaching one-to-one or a pair, a trio. And I would like you to characterize your role in terms of a single noun. Did you feel that your role was similar to that of a friend or an advisor, perhaps more than an authority figure? How did you feel? How do you feel when you teach privately? What is your role in the learning? Mixed up, friend, listener. Okay. Guide. Okay. Mediator. Flexible, guide, friendly. Okay. Psychologist. Yes, that can be dangerous. Be careful. Support, friend, free to be creative and innovative, coach. Close to friend, facilitator. All right. It's yes. Inspire. Okay. That's true. That's true. All of those things are true. Yeah. Let's think about those roles, those different roles. Yeah. So sometimes in a 1 hour class, we can take more than one or two roles, right? So let's talk a little bit about them. Yeah. Okay. So by playing different roles during the classes, private teachers have the chance to fulfill expectations and adjust the course of action in order to achieve ambitions and learning goals. Do you agree? So you cannot be the coach for 1 hour. You cannot be the psychologist, the friend, right? For one whole hour. So there will be the moment of that, and then there will be the moment of something else as you transition from one role to another, from one activity to another. And somehow the private student also has that expectation that you will fulfill those different roles at different moments of the class. All right, so let's talk about the first of them. Yeah, so I took these roles, as a matter of fact, I took these roles from a book called Learning One-to-One by Ingrid Wisniewska. Yeah, and she talks about the 5 roles Actually, I added one more role. In the end, you will see, because that's like taking somebody else's experience and adding my own experience to one extra role. And I will share that with you in a while. So the first one is conversation partner, especially if you have one student. So it's a one-to-one class. You have to do pair work. You have to do role play. There's that moment that you are going to be the other student, right? So you are inevitably the conversation partner. So if you are having conversation lessons in a foreign language, how do you think your teacher could best help you improve? What things would help you and what things wouldn't help at all? So some of you, like myself, are probably language students as well. How do you feel whenever you are the learner? What do you expect from your teacher whenever they are your conversation partner? Correction. What else? Anything else? Correction, introduction of vocabulary, natural conversation, guidance. Okay. Empathy, very good. Empathy, an interesting subject. Self-confidence, yes. Stimulating questions, encouraging. Model, of course, we are models, especially pronunciation models. Giving opportunities, follow-up questions, yeah. Very good. Cultural aspects. Yes, this is really good. Listen first. Interesting, Rosangela. Yes, you listen first, of course. I wouldn't expect corrections during the communication. Okay, yes, if you are involved in the role play. Correction is a separate topic because correction can happen in so many different ways. For example, I hate interrupting students all the time because that may break their concentration. So, and that can intimidate them as well. Some students, they feel intimidated if you correct them all the time on the spot. So there are several ways to do that. Low TTT, yes, that's expected. I would like to have thought-provoking questions. Yeah, that's, I think that's very much up to the teacher, because some teachers will have more ideas to poke students out of their comfort zones, or maybe depends on how long you've known the students, so you would know, right? What to ask and how to ask, yeah? How not to sound offensive, for example, yeah? Okay, so when you have the awareness of this role as a conversation partner, the teacher is called upon not only to participate actively in an ongoing dialogue, but also to facilitate the participation of the learner. So of course, your level will always have, you will always be higher than the students. So you will have to do a little bit of rough tuning, right? In the beginning, students might feel intimidated to talk to you, to interact with you, because they will think, okay, she's thinking about my mistakes, she's going to correct me, but you have to break those preconceived ideas as well, right? So you can help, by having awareness of this role, you can help your students establish a positive and relaxed learning relationship. You can build rapport, right? You can exchange, naturally, you will exchange personal information that will enable this rapport, that will help you establish a healthy and fruitful relationship with your students. And you can naturally exploit the students' interest and bring some of the students' reality into the class in a way that you can foster learning in a more genuine, authentic way, right? All right. So the next role is observer and listener, right? I would like you to think of one student you have taught in a one-to-one context. What do you remember, did you remember most clearly about their appearance or behavior? How did you interpret this at the time? Now that we are online, sometimes it's harder for us to pick on these patterns of behavior and reaction, but in one-to-one classes we can get that more easily. But there is some skills. Some students don't turn on their camera. That's a reality now. Yeah. But would that be a reality to one-to-one classes? Do you have one-to-one students who never turn on the camera or feel a bit self-conscious? Yeah? Okay. Some of them, yeah, they may feel insecure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Shy. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Tired. Yeah. If they are tired, if they, that's true. Some of them are very shy. Some of them still haven't gotten used to teaching, to online teaching. Long silence. Yes, some people are afraid of silence. Pauses, right. Okay, but overall, you've been teachers for long enough. I don't think you became teachers in the pandemic. So before the pandemic, when you had one-to-one classes, face-to-face, she was having a shower. Oh my God. How did you interpret your students' body language? Okay, Andrea, I don't doubt it. I have some true stories as well. So some students might seem uninterested in the context or the importance of the given focus language. Okay. How do you tell, Marisa, your student is not really interested and they're not really involved just by their body language? Keep quiet. Yeah. Yes, they don't interact a lot, especially if you have short answers. Yes, that can be so dreadful for us. Yes, a serious face. It's really off-putting. To me, it's really off-putting. Yeah. Okay, they digress. Yeah. That's true. That's true. But we have to think that we can profit a lot from observing our students and listening to our students, especially if we are committed to personalized teaching. Yeah, pretending I can hear you. Okay. So constant attention to the learner's responses can help maintain the learner's engagement and motivation while helping the teacher to improve lesson quality. Thank you, Andre, for the feedback, especially teenagers. Yeah. So some students are really self-conscious about particular topics. And I have one student who doesn't talk much about their private life. And I realized that, so I never ask private questions. I let the student ask the questions whenever they feel comfortable. Other students, they tell me more than I would like to hear. It happens. Yeah. When you deal with students from other cultures, you don't even have to go too far. I'm not talking internationally. I'm talking other states. Now that I'm teaching 100% online, for example, I've got some students from other states. And it's very interesting how I can clearly see my mineridade sometimes in the way I speak, in the way, of course, in English, even in English, the topics that I consider relevant. And also on the other side, I see my student from another culture teaching me and bringing things from their own culture. So this is very interesting. And in that moment in particular, monkey see, monkey do, right? So you stop, you observe your students, you try to decode some patterns, you try to decode some of the words between the lines, right, that they're trying to say. And you can also find out more what they need to learn and how best help them to activate it, to achieve this, right? So I ask in my needs analysis, what are your weak areas? And then I talk to the students after reading the needs analysis, and they say, well, my listening is terrible. And then we have a 10-minute conversation in English. They listen to everything perfectly, they understand the questions, and they answer, accurately. So what's the problem? So many times adult students especially, they will have this ideal in their minds. They will say, okay, I've been studying English for X years, so theoretically I'm supposed to be labeled advanced, intermediate, but the book says I'm beginner. But there's okay, and I try to explain to them that learning is not linear, so it comes from all directions. So I try to cool them down to, just, yeah, okay, they don't understand different accents. So yeah, it's important to observe your students. And again, if you're trying to personalize your classes, even if you have a big group, when I used to be a teacher in Cultura Inglesa, I had several groups of teenagers, for example, and I didn't really know what they were talking about in terms of series, in terms of music, and I often asked them to bring it to class. I would open a space for them, like a show and tell kind of moment, and I learned lots of things about, I don't know, vampire series and rappers that are not really part of my life, but I found it special that they had a space to talk about it. Yeah, video games. Okay, I have no ideas about it too. Yeah, I have a student who is passionate about beer, and he makes beer as a hobby, and I don't drink beer, and I had to learn the whole process of making beer to prepare a class, and he was so happy, and he said it was the best class he had ever had, just because we talked about something that mattered to him. After so many classes observing him rave about beer, I said, okay, I have to prepare a class about beer. And I learned about every single instrument necessary to make beer in Portuguese first, and then I found the equivalent in English in order to teach them. So it's an effort you have to make in order to fulfill your goal, which is to scaffold learning, right? Okay. Flipped classroom. I loved flipping the classroom. Yes, we can talk about that later. Yeah. Okay, so next, feedback provider, right? Feedback provider. So think back when you were a beginning language learner. What kinds of feedback from your teacher did you feel most motivating and most demotivating? Think about that. How do you like your feedback? In your face, or between the lines, or written? How about that? How about feedback? Read aloud. Orally, face-to-face, written. I was a shy student. I was a very shy student. So if I had feedback like in front of everybody, negative feedback, I would just die, you know? Okay, comments. I love comments, yeah. Yes, comments, yeah. Now that my classes are 100% online, okay, strengths, talking about strengths, yes, starting with the strengths. Now that I'm teaching 100% online, I like to open a form, a Word document, and I type everything my students say, whatever they're saying wrong or whatever they could improve. And I make notes throughout the class. They don't even notice I'm doing it. And in the end of the class, I will just send it to them. Yeah. Or I will take 5-10 minutes in the end of the class and I say, okay, let's focus on these sentences here. How could you improve these sentences? Or can you find the problem? in these sentences. And with time and experience, you learn how to choose the words. Thank God students give you those cues as well, and then you somehow you know what you can say, you know, or the things you have to avoid with that particular student because they will react in a way that is not positive. I read lots of books on positive communication, nonviolent communication, and they help. They help a lot because you can give feedback, even talking about weak areas, but in a way that the student will not feel demotivated. Yeah, and it will also help you knowing your students and being aware of the feedback provider role will guide you throughout the process of giving feedback to your students in ways that they feel more comfortable getting it. If you have a group, of course, you will be more discreet. You will try to address students individually. If you teach one-to-one, it's easier to do this. But also you have to be careful not to, you know, make students feel bad or feel intimidated. So you know your students better, right? So you will get this feeling as you teach them, as you feel the need to provide feedback, right? Okay, so feedback is one of the main tools we can use to encourage, motivate, and support learning. So use it wisely and choose the right moments to give feedback. The good and the bad, both of them need to be addressed. Try to choose the right time. Yeah, try to have this perception when students need a little pick me up, you know, to feel more motivated, more encouraged, or when students are repeating the same mistake over and over, it's time to stop everything and just turn the spotlight to that mistake in particular. So all of these can be done in a very supportive and encouraging way. You just need to find the right way to do it. Yes, your suggestions, I'm reading your suggestions here. It's very interesting. Harsh criticism can be quite hard to get. Yeah. Yeah. You can drive students away from learning altogether, depending on the kind of criticism that you give, right? I totally agree. Yeah. So the fourth one, mentor and guide. So I would like you to think about how your teachers in the past have encouraged you to learn. What kind of help or advice did you find most useful? We all have our dear teachers that we take in our hearts forever, right? And I hope we can be someone's dear teacher. But I have some pretty interesting, oh, sorry. It's pretty windy here. Oops, sorry, it's the wind. I can think about some teachers who really encouraged me, motivated me to get a certificate, go abroad, go into teaching. You know, they somehow saw something in me and they guided me through the process, you know. Okay, showing the path to be followed. What else can you recall good teachers doing as taking this role of mentor and guide? Suggestions on how to get in contact. Yes, I have those dear teachers. Yes, compliments. Yeah, praising, telling me that I'm capable. Yes, they paid attention on me. Yes, when teachers pay attention to you, you feel so special, don't you? Good. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Yes, good teachers inspire. That's true. That's true. Cultural knowledge background. Yes. Yes. That's true. hmm Yeah. Okay. So a mentor or a guide helps students to become independent by establishing good study habits and making the most of available learning resources. Do you agree? Yeah. So the awareness of this role helps you direct your attention away from language per se and focus more on language learning strategies. Also, to students' moments of life. Yeah. Let's go back to the beginning when somebody said coach, psychologist. It's a dangerous area. It's a gray area, to be honest, because I've been teaching one-to-one for enough time now to realize that sometimes you have to take up this role, but you have to be very careful because we don't realize how much power we've got as teachers, you know? So I've had some situations in which students couldn't pay attention to class because obviously there was something else happening to them, to their lives, to their personal lives that was affecting learning. So I had to address that, but in a way that did not seem to be very invasive or in a way that wouldn't show the students that I was there to solve their problems. I've always made sure that they knew that I was there to listen to them, but not really offer solutions about their lives. So I've had two situations in particular that were very strong to me and taught me a lot. One of them was a student who, she was always open about her personal life. She would tell me things that I never asked, but somehow she felt comfortable telling me them. And one day she arrived to class. I opened the door. Hi, how are you? And she says, not good, teacher. My husband has just asked she was an A2 student. Oh, my husband just asked to divorce. She said something like that. And I'm like, okay, okay, come in, sit down, let's have a cup of tea. And we spent the whole hour talking. We didn't open the book because how can you open the book after your student tells you that? And she was so devastated. But of course, I did not poke it out of her. I just made sure she felt comfortable talking about it. And she drew the line. You know, we went as far as she wanted to go. But I couldn't just ignore that and go, okay, let's open our books to page. No, I couldn't. So I had to find a way to address the problem, but at the same time, show her that I was not a psychologist and I was not there to solve her problem. Yeah. And another student in 2019 had just come back from Chile and he hadn't been following the news. So he was stuck in the middle of a demonstration, a riot, actually. And there was police everywhere, and there was even tear gas. And he had been a militant in the 60s and 70s during the dictatorship in Brazil. And being in Chile in the middle of a riot triggered some memories from the 60s and the 70s. And he had PTS, post-traumatic syndrome, and he was just in shock. He came to class after arriving in Brazil. One day after arriving, he came to class and he just felt like he needed to talk about it. And I politely listened. I asked some questions about the dictatorship and the time when he was a militant. He was comfortable answering it. I felt like he just needed to talk about it, you know? So as with private students, with one-to-one, you need to have this sensitivity to know when you're going to talk about what. And of course, not cut the students and make them feel unwelcome or unwanted. Yeah? Yes, so teachers are not psychologists, but we can help students to look for help. Very good. Yeah. We can listen to their problems and we can try to find a specialist to help them. Exactly. So one of the biggest challenges, I would say, in private teaching would be drawing the line between teacher and psychologist, teacher and friend. Yes, keeping a barrier may get more difficult after some longer time. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Okay. So we come to number 5, listener. I would like you to think back to your last one-to-one student and list 3 things that you learned from your lesson. How would you categorize them? Were they personal, professional, practical? What about that? Can you have this perception? Hmm. How about that? Nobody? This is part of the observer as well. But as we observe, we learn, right? Hmm. Okay. So the opportunity that you have to learn about your students' area of expertise can be one of the most fascinating aspects of one-to-one teaching, especially adult students. They want to talk about their professional lives. They want to talk about any topics that's interesting for them and is not in the course book, right? Mm-hmm. We can improvise when necessary. Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yes. So as I said, I realized my students like beer. I prepared a whole class about beer, and I surprised him. And I said, okay, we're not going to page 15 today. We're going to talk about beer. And that made learning more meaningful. You added value to learning. Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. And you can also, when you are aware of this role of learner, you can also allow your student to take some responsibility, to take over some responsibility. So it's a more collaborative approach. When you learn what doesn't work to your students, you're able to prepare better classes, and you're also able to put them in the center of the learning process, making them co-responsible for the learning process. Yeah. Okay, good. Um, so the 6th role, that's the one that I have been learning for the past 3 years, and I'm still learning and will forever, is manager. Yeah. So if you are freelance teachers, 100% freelance teachers, think about the several roles you play as a private teacher that go beyond the teaching realm. So we know our domain, we know our realm, right? The classroom. But how about these things? When was the last time you had to issue an invoice, prepare a contract, check your bank statement to make sure all the students paid for their classes that month? So this is what I've been learning for the past 3 years, and I'm very happy to be a multiplier, because I had to go after this information before I felt 100% sure that I wanted to be a freelance teacher. So this is the moment you start thinking, is this for me? Am I cut out for this? Am I fit for this? Yeah? So private teachers are CEOs, accountants, marketing directors, publicists, lawyers, salespeople, problem solvers, YouTubers, and digital influencers. And what I love the most, knowledge managers. So yes, when we decide to go freelance, we have to take all of those roles into consideration. Unless you can outsource that, unless you have a staff that will do all of the boring bureaucratic things for you. But if you're starting your business, it's a bit difficult, because administrating is part of the job. It takes time, and you should refine your skills. especially if you want to become more independent and if you don't want or cannot have a staff to look after your bank statements, your contracts, your payments, and etc. Okay, just enjoying my job, having fun in classes. Yeah. So I would like to, in this presentation, I would like to focus on the last one, knowledge managers, because as I told you, I've been very much focused on personalized classes. So I have to understand my students' universe in order to cater for their needs, in order to prepare classes that are engaging, that are interesting, and that will bring knowledge to them, that will help them accomplish whatever they're seeking when they come to me. Yeah, so I always have a solution to their problems. Yeah, so they come to me and they want things like, I want preparation classes to take the FCE. Okay, I've been doing this for the past 20 years, but another student came to me and said, okay, I need classes because I'm taking the pleb. And I'm like, the what? And then I discovered it's a certificate that you take to be a doctor in the UK. So I had to learn everything about the pleb in order to prepare her. Other students come to me and they say, I have a job interview and this is my field of expertise and I need a crash course, 2 hours talking about logistics in order to impress the CEO of the company or whatever. So somehow you have to really study to understand if you're up to the challenge, of course, and if you haven't done that before. So with that in mind, I started digging my sources, and some of them you know, of course, others I'm happy to share with you. And please share with me too, because we are always learning, right? So these are my top sources of knowledge nowadays. I take lots of classes in Future Learn. It's a free platform, mostly free, of course, of courses. And I have different interests. So I've taken courses in so many different areas because I like them. And Future Learn is fantastic for that. Of course, Netflix. I remember once watching a presentation of Natalia Guerreiro saying that English teachers are the only professionals that watch Netflix and work at the same time, because watching Netflix can become preparing your classes. Like, raise your hands if you caught yourself watching an episode of a series and go like, wow, this will be an excellent class to teach the third conditional. Or I could use the beginning of this movie to exemplify this, and this in the text that my students are going to read tomorrow. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's the fun part of managing knowledge. Networking. I love networking with different teachers. When I joined BRAZ-TESOL, I found my crowd. I found the teacher's room that I was looking for, that I was afraid I wasn't going to have if I went 100% freelance. So many things happen in the teacher's room, right? Not only gossip, but also some creative exchange of ideas. So BRAZ-TESOL, finding BRAZ-TESOL and being welcomed in BRAZ-TESOL, especially in the regional level that I talk to people on a daily basis, was very good to me. Opened my mind to participate in events, meeting other people, other freelance teachers who would help me feel secure of my choice above all, right? Reading books, reading blogs, taking part in events such as this one. And I would like to share two special things with you, very dear to me. One is Lexical Lab. It's a school in London in 2019. I was fortunate enough to go there and take a 1-week course on material development. I developed most of my materials, so I felt the need to learn more. And I went straight to the source. I went there and I took a course with Hugh Deller and Andrew Walkley, the co-writers of the series Outcomes. And it opened my mind to so many other things. and yeah, pop-ups just started. And I'm taking part in an event from Lexical Lab this weekend, and I'm so happy and so proud to have been invited. And I invite you guys as well. You can find more information in the Lexical Lab site. And also, one other thing I would like to share with you, it's in this QR code. It's an article that I wrote telling a little bit about my experience transitioning to this freelance teaching world. So I also would like to share that with you. You can either scan that or you can go to my Instagram account. It's there for you if you want to download. Yeah. And please keep sharing, keep exchanging ideas, because this is what makes us so awesome and so problem solvers. So I'm going to show you right now my contacts. So this is my site. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Carolina Cunha Soluções Linguísticas. Yeah. And oh, Renata, you're so dear. I miss you. You're so much fun to work with. We have a few minutes left. I would like to tell you that Disal is going to raffle one ticket to BRAZ-TESOL International Conference and also one anuidade, right? Membership. So stick around, please, and you might have the chance to be the lucky winner. Have you got any questions, any doubts, anything you would like to share with me? I know I'm rushing here. We have like 5 minutes left. Thank you. Yes, it's true, Daniela. I remember you. I guess we studied in PUC, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Please write me, stay in touch. You can send me your questions if you have any, or you can share your great ideas, your classroom experiences with me if you feel like it. Okay, good. Keep in touch. I often give workshops and English. Oh, sorry, I didn't get the question. Hold on. Do you have any suggestions to motivate students with a busy schedule? Oh, Samara, I'm working on that because I have students who cancel a lot due to work meetings, and sometimes they just use the meetings for as an excuse not to go to class. Sometimes they don't want to study English and they just need an excuse. I try to talk to them and I try to make them see that it's a 50-50 commitment, that I am only partially responsible for their success and they have to meet me halfway. So I try to have sometimes even more technical conversations for them to understand that I don't work miracles, and it's important that they feel engaged, motivated, and part of the process, if not the center of the process. So whenever they cancel a lot, I try to record some 3-5 minute classes and I send it to them like, okay, you couldn't make it to class this week, but this is, I read this text and I remembered you, something like that. So I send a link. Oh, take a look at this. We were talking about this in last class. What do you think about this? And I send an article, or I record a video with a lesson from the book and I guide them throughout the process of doing an exercise, a task in particular. I try to motivate them like that. I realized that some of my students were canceling a lot. So I stopped substituting classes and I started recording videos for them. So, okay, you cannot come this week. I'm going to send you a video with all the tasks you have to do this week. So they got the message. They got the message. They were the central part of the process. I was just leading them, but I was not responsible for the process. And it worked. With some students, it worked. With others, unfortunately, they just didn't want to. So when the student doesn't want to, there's only so much you can do, right? It's complicated. Okay, nice guys. Please stay in touch. Please keep in touch. They don't do homework. Join the club. Yes, I'm trying to find a formula to help students do homework, to make them understand homework. Yeah. So my Instagram account is secunha.soluções linguísticas. It's there. Did you go? Secunha.soluções linguísticas. Okay. You can find me on Instagram. You can send me an email. Thank you. Do you think it's about the generation? This generation is not interested in homework. I'm pretty sure my teacher in the 90s said the same. I don't know. I don't know. Nice to see you too, Danielle. I remember you from PUC, I guess, right? We studied in PUC. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being part of this wonderful teaching community. Teachers must support one another, and together we are stronger, right? So stick around for your raffle, okay? And I hope to see you again. I hope to see you again face to face in an event, BRAZ-TESOL or whatever, okay? Thank you so much for coming. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your break tomorrow, okay? Allow yourself some downtime. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you. Vladimir, thank you, Vladimir. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Noeli. Bye-bye.